All right, fun fact. British spies used semen as invisible ink during World War One.
What? Gross.
This was invented.
It's a never-ending supply.
This was invented by Captain Sir Manfield Cummings.
Oh, wow, that's an appropriate name.
Nice. Well, maybe that's what it's coined from.
Cummings.
But yeah. But I mean, like, my question would be: did anyone ever bother to ask what that smell was when they wrote in ink?
Yeah,
I doubt it.
I don't think
doubt it.
anyone could tell. They're like, "Oh, this ink works well."
And all the paper was either stuck together or stiff. So you couldn't write more than one page.
No, it's all one.
And you couldn't fold
couldn't
it.
fold it. Couldn't do anything.
Gross.
So the spies were carrying around DNA with them.
It was, yeah. So I mean, that's a never-ending supply. It just had to be refilled every half hour.
So they were coming on the wall, and they just use a black light to see everything.
Well, how big were the letters that they wrote in? Because if there were big letters, then you'd only get one letter at a time. That's the worst. Like that's the worst dying message you can leave.
You could always get a bunch of guys to like fill up a pen.
Yeah, jerk off in this. This is for Great Britain.
It's like, quick, everyone,
Like,
in this cup.
I'm out. I'm out. Someone fill me up.
Oh, the crazy. Another fun fact.
Or what about with if they used it for those like old school colonial days when they just had like a bird feather or something,
quill?
just like dip it in ink. Yeah, there you go. Just dip it in semen.
That's what they did.
Damn, would it stick
I'm
or something?
assuming.
That sounds gross.
Another crazy thing is like guys with deeper voices have less semen than guys with higher pitched voices.
What? That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
What? I have to challenge this. What kind of scientific proof is there?
It's a recent study. Like it's saying that guys with higher pitched voices have lower semen count than.
Okay.
Guys with higher voice produce more than guys with deeper voices.
Cola, on some of these podcasts, your voice was fluctuating. Does that mean that you're like now ovulating?
No, it's just the recorder I was using.
Because there's some days where you're like straight up like Batman, and all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Cola.
It's me, Cola. It's me, Cola.
It's
Like, this bitch is ovulating, man."
Damn. Okay. All right. Fun fact. For The Simpsons, Homer was originally going to be Krusty the Clown, so that's why they look very similar. It was supposed to be that Homer had this side job where he was Krusty the Clown, and Bart didn't respect Homer, but he loved Krusty the Clown. But that that storyline never came together, so they just made them separate characters.
But that was actually supposed to be canonical.
They had the same sort of shape of head and body type, but they never pulled it together.
Okay. Not bad. Fun fact, Bender was based off of Homer Simpson.
I can see that. Always drinking beer and stuff.
Yeah. No, my fun fact is that baby owls sleep on their stomachs. Like drunkards.
Wow. I never seen an owl go to sleep. I always thought they just
So-
close their eyes and then just stay in that position.
Yeah. So if you see baby owls in the forest, they're actually hugging onto the tree branches and sleeping on their stomachs. So it's but it's the reason for that is because that when they're little and they're first born and they're kind of just growing up, their heads are too heavy to support, so then they have to resort to lying on their stomachs.
God. Oh, that's crazy.
So-
Speaking of sleeping on your stomachs, the topic for today is if we
Yes.
open shop, what would it be?
You started a business or wanted to open up a shop. What would it
Yeah.
be without having to worry about any
I'm sleeping
any
on your
strings
stomach.
attached?
Yeah, so the rule here, I guess, the rule for this topic is that if there was no impedance on any part of your life, if you have a blank check to do something on the side as a side hustle, what would it be? So, Jack, this is your topic this week, so why don't you start us off?
Sure thing. So, if I wanted to start a business or a shop, one thing that I would do is I would make a video game company. Like, I always wanted to make video games when I was little. That's why I went to college, to learn how to program. But turns
Nice.
out being in the video game industry fucking sucks. You get worked like a dog. So I do still.
Yeah, you hear stories about
you hear
that.
stories of having to work like more than 12 hours, weekends, not seeing your family. So I didn't want any part of that. But I do still want to make a video game, and if the cards were dealt right, and I didn't have to worry about money, I could hire whoever I wanted. I could just spend as much time or as little time as I wanted to. I'd like to start a video game company so I could make a video game. I can hire animators, designers, all that. Just work on a game. It'd be cool to release a game
Mm,
without having to worry about,
yeah.
bills and all that.
And surprisingly enough, they're like some of the best games actually did come from people who just up and made them without a
You're
real
talking about
company
Stardew
backing
Valley?
or anything. Just passion project. Well,
I was thinking of Cuphead too. Cuphead was like that too.
I was thinking about like Cave Story or Undertale. Some of those big name games that just kind of just came out of left field, and they're just like some people like just indie games in general just have that level of potential now. It's just they're also just competing in an oversaturated market at this time. So it's like that's where the grueling hours and stuff come from, because you have to invest that much time into making something a bit more grand than it needs to be.
Yeah, definitely it's inspiring for
No, that would be-
hearing some of those stories. Like Cave Story was written by one guy. So was Stardew Valley. It was made by
Mhm.
one guy. And he worked on it for like more than 5 years, 10 years now. So that's
Mhm.
still a game that he's working on.
Yeah, but that game definitely has its own like hard stop to it.
I thought there's still updates going on for that game
Like-
though.
There is, but then once you've achieved a majority of everything, it just gets a little boring. But I mean, that's pretty much par for any game. Nice amount of entertainment though.
Yeah, it's a way to kill time.
What about you, Cola?
I would do a bed and breakfast, 10-room bed and breakfast on a beach.
Mm.
Okay.
host people and have like a mini bar, and people can come out, hang out at the Airbnb, and I don't know.
Is there a particular
I would go that way.
location for the beach? Like,
I was thinking somewhere in Southeast Asia, where the weather is probably a lot nicer. But yeah, no, things are probably not a lot cheaper. Not anything in the U.S. I'd rather do it overseas.
Rather do it in the base of a volcano. And
But yeah, I would do a 10-bedroom Airbnb. I'm not Airbnb. Yeah, like a like bed and breakfast kind of thing, right? And then just have people come out, hang out, get to know each other. Just encourage those interactions.
I mean, that's an interesting one. Oh, well, in terms of your choice, at least. But I'm just wondering what exactly inspired that one for you.
I get tired of looking at the screens all day, and I would like to, engage with people, and and making sure that, because I travel a lot, and like having great places to stay is like one of the big like attractions and things, because people they're traveling, they just want to go to their room and and hang out at certain places, and and interact with people. It's just like, I think the commercial hotels and stuff, it loses a lot of the characters, like of like traveling, you just go
so you're
to your
thinking of
room, go to
yourself
sleep,
as
and
like
stuff like that. But
like a host.
Like a host, like a hosting, like where people can come in, enjoy, like
they can all tell you their stories, and you can just shoot the shit with them, I guess.
Right, you're like interacting, shoot the shit, and interact with people, and like making sure that people have a great place to stay for the night, or 2 nights, or maybe a week, But
maybe you can just open up a hostel there too. I think you run into a lot of interesting people with a hostel.
A lot of interesting people, but like, try not to. But yeah,
I mean like 50% murders,
That's only in the hotels. Hotels and motels.
You ain't never seen that movie Hostel? Motels, maybe.
Actually, if you, I think you guys already know, like, hostels aren't that bad. I mean, well, if you hostels in Asia aren't as bad as, not as if you go to the U.S. and Europe. I remember I had friends who
I've been to
came to the U.S. and stayed in the hostel. They stayed in that hostel in San Francisco. Yeah.
Yeah, the hostels that we stayed in, Walker, weren't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, we were in a hostel that where it was just, I walked into the bathroom and then was taking a shower and someone was getting the DJ next door. I'm like, that was pretty amazing.
Like, where can I sign up for that?
I'm like, go on. Like, if the girl could be a little bit louder. It's okay. I'm just writing in invisible ink.
She's just helping me write my.
That's what they're doing,
writing
letter. Messages on the wall. Next time you go to a public bathroom, just bring a black light with you and see what they write on the wall.
Oh, ew, gross. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
It's like a paragraph long letter and shit. Like all on the wall. Interesting stuff. Personally, I never pictured you to be the want to be a bed and breakfast host type.
I think just COVID just got me like going like, I need to go out. I've been indoors working from home and not doing much. I'm like, why not open a bed and breakfast?
It's like
It's fun as fuck.
it's like after COVID, it's like I still don't want to go outside. Everyone come to me. Like after that like year and a half of that shit. That's actually but that's actually quite surprising for me. I mean, just because whenever I travel with Cola, he definitely always wanted to be the outgoing type. So it's just an
Oh, back
interesting
home I'm
change
like,
of pace there.
fuck this. back, back home I'm like, fuck this. But if I'm out traveling, I'm a lot better. I'm a lot happier.
Yeah, that's very true. I become 10 times more social, not afraid to talk to anyone. Usually when I'm traveling, just because it's just like you're out there to experience that like once, and you don't necessarily want to pass up very many opportunity. Yeah, I travel with my brother. that is like he and I are on two different planes of existence
How so?
when it comes to
What's
traveling.
the difference?
My brother still wants to eat relatively American styled food,
Dang.
and when we went to Southeast Asia, there was almost anything but. So I always had to pick the meals for us. And I think anything extra weird, or not even extra weird, it was just like something that's just different. Like I would order like frog legs, and like next thing you know, my brother would get like diarrhea or something.
Maybe he just has a weak
And
stomach
then
for
he was
food
just-
Maybe that's
not
why he's like
familiar.
sticking.
Yeah, and it's
You can eat frog like, oh,
yeah. I mean, like
diarrhea.
it was just that, and then he was just like, yeah, but then he was just like, talking to his girlfriend over the phone, and he was just talking to her about like what
His
kind of food
diarrhea.
we're eating and stuff, and he was just saying like, oh, like Walker's freaking like bulletproof just because he can just eat all this kinds of crap and just be okay. I'm like, I don't know, I just have an adventurous palate, I guess.
I mean, if the locals can handle it, you can. We just need to bring you some Pepto or something.
There's a lot of pregnant cats and monkeys up in Thailand. I don't know if the cats are necessarily impregnated by the monkeys, but it very much seems like that because they're just like everywhere. But yeah, I mean, traveling's definitely something that we all need to pick up on at some point in our lives, because I mean, things become 100 times more interesting once you come back home. Once you come back home to the States, when you figure out how another country is like actually living, and you kind of like start piecing different parts of that experience together. So it's pretty cool. Pick up a lot of stuff.
Okay.
All right, Walker, what's your business?
What about you, Walker?
Mine. I have a few, but I mean my main one I think has always been sort of a recurring theme throughout my life, would sort of be to open up an arcade / gym with the night business of a bar.
What was that?
So in the day it would be a arcade gym, but at night it'd be a bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So like it would have like an upper level of like arcade gyms. So you would have the games that you do like physical activities with, like DDR or like boxing games or whatever, just to improve hand-eye coordination, but also just release that stress and also, you know, get your workout in, obviously. So
And then
it would be things like
and
that.
afterwards you can go get a drink.
Huh? And so there's that. Obviously, there's like, that's the gym part of it, and then at night there'd be like a downstairs basement area where it's still games, but also hosted like a bar.
Okay.
So, sort of acting as its own. I wouldn't say Dave and Buster's, just because Dave and Buster's is kind of putting the I guess the shooter games and everything as is I guess it's normal types of games that they always have, but more like those party games where it's like Mario Kart, basic console games that just like are put up on a projector. I thought those were always a good idea, because and you guys you both have been a part of these when I would host these parties at my house, and we would just kind of all get together, have drinks, food, and then just play games all night. And that usually, for people who are participating, it made it a lot more enjoyable. Like once all that's once we all just kind of sat together on like the couch and just played.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. A lot of the interactive gym stuff is already pretty popular nowadays. Like Peloton is pretty popular.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically you're doing a spin class virtually. So I guess if we can get like more of that integrated, it doesn't have to be like like just a live screen. It could be like connected to a game or something. It's like you're doing a spin class and running away from a giant dinosaur chasing you, and integrated with VR or something.
Mm-hmm. So they have like those video gyms now where it's just like a screen on a wall, and then like all the equipment folds out into a bench and stuff, and then you're just like it's showing you how to do everything while you're doing it. And I forgot, it was there are like certain, like, I guess podcasts or something that play for runs where you're simulating a zombie outbreak over your headphones, and then you're getting all the audio and all the cues to like run and sprint at like as you're going. So like you're like when you hear the zombies, then you just gotta start sprinting as fast as you can.
Cool.
So
And then so do you stop when the
but
zombies
it's like
stop?
one of those things where it's like if you're the type to jog at night. I don't know. I mean, like I've only heard of it. It sounds a little crazy, but hey, I mean, like anything to make your run interesting. Because I think for one, I hate running. I hate running with a passion, because it's just like it's one of those things where you just don't feel relief until it's over.
Yeah. I mean, anything to make the run more interesting, whether you need to be immersed into some type of game environment, or like you're being chased by zombies or whatever. It would help, would make the workout more interesting. I mean, look at things like what's that? That Wii, like the Wii fitness stuff. All those games are pretty fun. They had to involve some kind of interactive thing with the game.
Yeah.
People
there's
have
even,
lost weight.
I remember that there's even like there's those balance boards that you do the plank on, and then they turned that into a airship game. I thought that was a weird thing, but I mean that apparently works.
But definitely the one with the bar and the games, I've seen a lot of that integrated. Like a lot of bars now have arcades and stuff.
Arcades.
Yeah. Uh, I've thought about that, and sometimes I wonder about their selection of the games too. Um, Usually console games usually work the best, just because they overall are a bit more cost efficient, and they're a lot more cost efficient actually, and they they bring in a lot more customers than like arcade games. From my experience, just because I went to a couple of local bars around that did arcade games, and it's not really all that fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like that handful of people that sit there, or there's a handful of people that can play like a single game all night, like the Simpsons like arcade game, like some weird beat 'em up, and kind of like what Jack and I used to play over at high school was this Dungeons and Dragons, and we'd sit on that for like half an hour to an hour easy. And we waste like $12.
Yeah, it's one way to bring some money back. Damn, good times. Because right now, the average age for someone who plays video games in the U.S. is 35. So it's like,
Oh my god.
yeah, we're
we're right in there.
We basically grew up to be the average age of people who play video games.
Yeah.
You know, I just realized this about our current spectrum of hosts, and it goes like this: we have someone who's single, someone who's in a relationship, and someone who's married. So, next thing we need is someone who's dead.
Well,
And the set
maybe
will be
not
complete.
someone who's dead. Maybe someone who's a little younger. But I don't know anyone that young.
Yeah, if you knew anyone that young,
or
I'm pretty sure that we'd
Someone
have to call Prince Hassan on you.
who's divorced.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
That's a good one.
I'm pretty sure the conversations would turn out bitter as fuck.
Oh man.
Like fuck.
Every
that.
time you
What's your
every
business?
time you talked about the opposite sex, like, you mean like that cheating asshole?
And then
But,
their business would be their business would be assassin or assassin,
Like,
a hitman.
hitman, or divorce lawyer that only stands
divorce
for one
lawyer.
side.
You need your money,
Uh,
and I'm gonna get it.
But yeah. Damn, I totally had something like in the back of my head. I totally forgot. Yeah, I mean that's our spectrum right now, and I think that's pretty cool. Just because, you know, when it comes to that those elements of life, you kind of just can see where our heads kind of lie for that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, someone who's in a relationship has the drive to create something. Someone who's not in a relationship has the dream of, you know, spreading something that's a bit more like universally applicable. And then someone who's married is just creating something that's a sort of like stable-ish type of.
Yeah. Interesting to see what the divorcee would want to do.
I want everyone of the opposite sex to die. But yeah, it's yeah, it was just pretty crazy just thinking about that, because I was just like, oh yeah, like we kind of have our own little complete set here. But the only thing is that I'm in the middle of creating icons for us, for podcast purposes. So
Cool.
I mean, like, we'll look forward to those like somewhat soon. But that wraps up for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us and hearing our fun facts. And
Come
we'll see
back.
you next time.
See ya. Peace.
All right, guys.
Come for the secret letters.